Hey, how's it going, everybody? How's it going? This is your good friend Patrick O'Dowd. I am joined by David Ungar. It has been a hot minute, but as you can see, I have been keeping up on the sports. Welcome in to another edition of the Four Corners Podcast here on the Chairshot Radio Network, a part of the Chairshot.com, where we remind you to always use your head. ProWrestlingTees.com/the Chairshot for all of your chair shot swag needs. Dave, I am cloud nine for obvious reasons. Folks, it has been forever since we've done a show. There's been absences, there's been vacations, there's been I can't do it this week. Most of it my fault. Which reminds me, bowling tournament time is a couple of weeks away. Just heads up, the bowling for dollars Patrick O'Dowd is coming soon. That's going to be around, but what a week in sports, right? Like the NCAA tournament is now we're 2 games away from our final four. We're going to talk about that to kick off the show. We got a major incident in golf involving one of the legends of the game that we're going to talk about a little bit later. Maybe joined by our buddy PC Tunney to talk that big time golfer that he is. Opening day was this week. My Cardinals sit atop the National League Central.
That's right. Enjoy it, baby.
2-0 in our rebuild year. And it's so fun. I love overreaction week because next week, Dave, is over like come Monday when tomorrow when the sports podcasts drop. Those are the best because that all of the baseball broadcasts start to overreact. Hell, one of the local St. Louis media guys I follow, a guy named Bernie Miklas, who has been covering the Cardinals since the 80s, his first post or his first podcast, because he says a daily podcast on during the week. His first podcast was after the Cardinals came and scored 6 runs, being down, 6 runs with 12 outs to go, was ushering in a new era of St. Louis Cardinal baseball. This is going to be a team that if it breaks 5, they're not going to be the last place team to steal from another prognosticator, Will Leach, a guy I do really respect, very good baseball mind. The Cardinals probably are going to finish last place, but they sure shit ain't going to finish in first. And
well, aren't the Pirates? The Pirates are in their division, right? So I mean,
the Cardinals should outperform the Pirates. They won't be better than the Cubs. They should be better than the Reds. I'm not sold on the Reds so much. Yeah. But you got the Brewers and the Cubs. That's the upper echelon of the league. I think it's still or of the division. I still think it's the Brewers division to lose. They're probably the smartest front office. They're easily the best front office in the division. They're probably the best front office in the National League, if not Major League Baseball. Of course, we could have Tunney would be biased, but he would agree. Your Nationals 1-1. We joked right before we hit record. You have been given the full Miles Michaelis experience.
Welcome. I mean, I love it. There's 0 expectations for the Nats this year. I mean, 500 would be, they've done some stuff. I'm still waiting for the C.J. Abrams shoe to drop because I think that's going to happen sometime this season when the price is right. But at the same time, they've got, a lot of prospects, a lot of picks, and the future looks good for them in a few years, but it's going to take a few years. The Orioles are the team I'm more interested in to see if they can bounce back this year.
Right, they had a rough go. As we talk about our teams primarily, the Cardinals are. This is the first full year of Chaim Bloom as general manager. Chaim Bloom fired from the Red Sox for doing exactly what the Red Sox wanted him to do as their general manager, and then blamed him when he did things like trade Mookie Betts after they told him, well, you need to trade Mookie Betts. But everybody got pissed because the team that would take him and could afford him, probably give you the best deal, was that team in Los Angeles. And then he went on to be a great player for Los Angeles. But, if there's and there's still the juggernaut to beat in the National League, that hasn't changed. It's still the Dodgers. I think the American League is always, currently in its current state is far more up for grabs than the National League, in my opinion. I think that the the road starts and stops in the National League in the National League West.
Yeah. Hey, the Giants finally scored. I mean, there is that. It took them three
Hey, good
games
for
to get a
them.
run. It took them 3 games to get a run against the Yankees, but hey, it is
Yeah.
what it is.
So it was, but I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about this NCAA tournament because we are now ending the second weekend. Today is the final day, and in about 25 minutes or so, Michigan is taking the court to take on Tennessee. Last night, my Fighting Illini returned to the Final Four for the first time since 2005. The celebration is on in Champaign, Urbana. The scenes from that campus for a very proud basketball tradition to finally return to a mountaintop, and in the way that they did it after stumbling at the end of the season. Illinois was not good towards the end of the season. I shouldn't say it. Illinois was good, but they went basically 500 in the month of March, late February, early March before the tournament. Bounced by Wisconsin in their opening matchup of the Big Ten tournament, and I'll be the first to tell you I had a lot of doubt about the toughness of the University of Illinois, whether or not they would be able to defend well enough to complement, which is right now by all metrics after Purdue losing to Arizona. We're going to get to that in a second. Illinois now has the number one analytic offense, number one rated offense in the country. It was always a question as to whether the defense could get stops, and they played a. I was in Washington D.C. all week this week.
Yeah, how was that?
It was a whirlwind experience. I would like to go back to that city when I actually can kind of control what how much time we have to spend in these spots. It was going to a place and really only being able to spend an hour to 2 hours, maybe tops, at a place like at a Smithsonian museum before having to move on to the next one. And it was just a great taste of the city. But, these kids are on these tight schedules. And so to try and hit everything was really exhausting. And Thursday night was the next to last night of the trip. And that was when Illinois and its 10 p.m. tip off against Houston, where one of my buddies that he's a big UConn fan actually, so he's getting geared up for this evening. We're texting back and forth, and I'm like, I'm on this field trip. I got to get the kids up at 5:30 in the morning. I'm gonna watch the first half, and then I'll turn it off, and whatever it is, it is. And then all of a sudden, it's a 2-point game at halftime and I'm like, well, I'm not gonna sleep. Like there's just no way. So I stayed up. I watched it. Watched Illinois balloon their lead up to 18 and 17 at a couple of different points. When they ballooned it up to 18, I was like, okay, Illinois has been here before against some teams during the season, and they haven't closed. Houston's gonna make a run. Can they close? And Houston went to make their run, and Illinois responded. And so when they took their lead and it went down to 9, but then Illinois ballooned it back up to 17 or 15 or 17, somewhere in there. That was when I was like, okay, they are advancing to the Elite Eight. They are knocking off the number 2 seed, a team that I had in my bracket as a Final Four team. Illinois out Houston. That's what a lot of people have said. And then they go to Iowa, or they move on to Iowa, who had a stunning victory over Nebraska, came from behind. Everybody remembers the last sequence where Nebraska is trying to press and they only had 4 players on the court. And that has been sort of the thing that has been mocked and made fun of. But Iowa, every bit, deserved that victory and comeback. And they come out and they just absolutely punch Illinois in the mouth.
Yeah.
Go up 12-2. Bennett Sturts is making everything. Illinois, it was one of those things too. It was tough it was frustrating as a fan to watch your team, who is defending pretty darn well. Not, they made some defensive scouting mistakes. They collapsed on the interior too hard on a couple of plays, allowed some open threes. But like Bennett Sturts, who is going to make a lot of money as a professional basketball player, as he is a shooter. Like that dude made some shots with just people draped all over him. He was a fucking superstar. And he was killing Illinois until Brad Underwood made the decision to switch Kylan Boswell, an all Big Ten defensive player, switched Kylan Boswell off of Bennett Sturts and brought in Andrei Stojakovic, son of Peja, and Andrei's length and tenacity bothered Bennett Sturts. Bennett Sturts scored 24 points. His last basket and point came with 9 minutes and 30 seconds left to go in the game. He didn't get a shot off from that 9-minute 30-second point until there were 2 minutes left to go in the game, and they were in desperation heave mode. They locked him down. They held Iowa to 26% shooting in the second half, and they were the more physical, tougher, longer, killed them on the boards. For most of the game, Illinois had more offensive rebounds than Iowa had rebounds total. It was insane. And then you got to see this kid. If you haven't watched Illinois play, Dave, I don't know if you watched any of the games at all.
I did, and I was gonna mention, you're gonna talk about Wagler, the freshman, who's just jeez. Yeah, he took over the game.
25 points, and the big highlight that people are showing is the Penny Hardaway crossover he did to fake a kid out, fake the Iowa defender out that he was from the top of the key, and that dude is under the basket after Keaton does a jab step, spin away to hit a three at the top of the key. They were so great. He was so great. That was an unranked recruit that Illinois.
Well, I mean, you look at the stats.
Kansas.
He's a freshman, 38 minutes, which is tied with Mirkovic for the most minutes played in the game.
Mirkovic, also a freshman.
Yeah.
Also, and one of Illinois', he's the David Mirkovic is the personality of the team. He's the character. He's also really stinking good. He's a 6'9", 240-pound forward, skilled big man from Eastern Europe. He's a Balkan. He doesn't have big hops, but he's got a good nose for the basketball. He had like 12 rebounds on the game. Like, he was a monster on the boards. He can bring the ball up. He can pass extraordinarily well. His alley-oop to Zvonimir Ivisic was, to me, what sealed the game. Like, Tommy Ivisic, Zvonimir's younger brother and starter on the team, he'd either fouled out or he needed to sit, and immediately David gets the ball, takes it up the court, gets the defense to class on it in the lane, little alley-oop dunk, and that, to me, Illinois goes up 8. It just felt like 8 was going to be enough with the way those teams were playing after Illinois made the comeback.
Right, and
can't say enough.
It seemed like, from what I saw in the second half, you talked about the lockdown defense, but Illinois just has better playmakers than Iowa does.
Oh,
and they made the big plays when they needed to.
Right. And make no mistake, this isn't going to be the end of Iowa. Ben McCullum is a real deal basketball coach, and he is very much they've been comparing.
This was his first year, right?
His first year with the Hawkeyes. Yeah. But prior to that, he had coached Drake. And prior to that, and a lot of those kids at Drake came with him to Iowa, and Bennett Sturts was one of them. Illinois, both of these coaches, great stories. Ben McCullum's just in his 40s. Brad Underwood has been coaching for 39 years and has literally started at the junior college level to Division II to a mid-major, 1 year at Oklahoma State, and now looking to retire, and he will now. Like, there's no question. He will retire and Illini. So great win. So happy for my school. So happy to see that fan base get to have a day. And while we're talking about people I'm happy for, we got to talk about our buddy Ray Cash, who I'd hoped to get on the program today to talk about Arizona. But
He's on
Arizona,
vacation.
funny story, he's on vacation. He will not be on Bandwagon Nerds today. Um, anyway, he goes Arizona taking on Purdue. Purdue, and again, just like the game before, Purdue gives a punch and is up 7 at halftime. Braden Smith, Fletcher Lawyer, Trey Kaufman Wren, they are just doing Purdue stuff. They really looked like they had Arizona out of sorts on skates, but in the second half, you just saw the talent disparity between Arizona with Koa Pete and those guys. Just they took that lead back, and once Arizona made their run, and Purdue could not respond. You just knew that it was gonna be a lot of work. And Arizona, they walked away with it. Like
Mm-hmm.
they win that game by I think like 14, 15 points. Like they took it away. And I I am I feel fairly confident. While I think Tennessee can give Michigan a game, I think Michigan's going to beat Tennessee, and I think we're going to get Arizona and Michigan on one side of the Final Four. It is a shame that one of those teams isn't on the other half of the bracket because I think they're the two best teams left. Though Duke, now fully healthy, is a strong number three. I think the winner of the Arizona Michigan game, and I have Arizona coming out on top of that. I think Arizona or Michigan, whoever wins that game, is easily the favorite to win the national title. They're just head and shoulders more talented than any other team, and they have been all season.
Yeah, the thing from watching what I watched of Arizona and Purdue, it just Purdue got off to that good start, similar to Iowa, similar to the Iowa Illinois game. Purdue got off to that good start, but Arizona, their depth just took over, especially in the second
Right.
half. They just
They
roll
are
waves at you, and Purdue had no answers for that.
right. And Purdue, so for as good as Braden Smith is, and I think that Braden Smith, all-time assist leader in college Division One basketball, they he in particular, sometimes I think he hunts assists a little too much. And you saw that a couple of, like there was one play I remember this very much. There was a rebound takes place, offensive rebound. Braden Smith goes. He thinks his player is going to dart to the wing, and he tries to make the fancy pass to that guy. Well, that guy doesn't cut, and he throws it into the stands. Where if Braden, who is a really good mid-range jump shooter, if Braden Smith just takes that jump shot, like probably gets the 2 points and you keep playing. But they gave some momentum plays to Arizona, and it's like you said, they just wore them out. I cannot wait to see what they do in the Final Four. Personally, I think Duke beats UConn today, and I think that I think Michigan gets it done. I think we get Michigan and Arizona on one side, we get Duke and Illinois on the other. As much as I love my Illini, I think that Duke fully healthy with a full point guard situation in place and Cam Boozer, that's a lot. I think Illinois can make it a good game. I think they can win that game. I just don't know that they will win that game. I don't think they will. I have Duke and Arizona in the national championship game, and Arizona cutting down the nets to call it a wrap. So that
Well,
is my feelings and thoughts on this game, on this what I think will be the Final Four when it tips off in about 15 minutes with Michigan and Tennessee.
well, the vacationing one will be very happy to hear your prediction. So that's for
Well,
sure.
I showed him my bracket. Like when I wrote it out, I showed him my bracket, and like I said, I wish that Michigan was on the other side of that bracket because I really do think we're going to see a national title game early. Um, who knows if Duke comes out and just wipes the floor with UConn and then wipes the floor with Illinois? I could be singing a different tune come next week and saying I was wrong. So, all right, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we are going to bring on our good friend PC Tunney to talk a little golf. We got controversy, but the Masters is not that far away, and so I want to get to that. So you folks that are listening live, you all hang tight for about 30, 3 seconds. For those of you who are listening to the broadcast recording, you get a little bit longer to catch our full commercial break, but we'll still be here when you come back. You're listening to the Four Corners Podcast here on the Chairshot Radio Network, part of the Chairshot.com. Welcome back, everyone, to the Four Corners Podcast here on the Chairshot Radio Network, part of the Chairshot.com, where we remind you to always use your head. ProWrestlingTees.com/thechairshot for all of your Chairshot swag needs. We got a lot of great stuff happening and on the horizon with the Chairshot Radio Network. So now is the time to jump back on and get into all of these great podcasts. Check out Unidentified History. I hear that guy DJ has a mindless wrestling pod that's pretty good. At least I've heard good things. We've got the Attitude of Aggression podcast. We got it all, man. We've got so much great stuff, content here, and we are working really hard with some big things on the horizon with this podcast and this podcasting network. And so please give us your time and attention. Help support us so that we can keep bringing you this great content. Dave, I told you we're going to have a special guest. I wanted to talk a little golf. And here's my thing. I appreciate golf, but I don't know golf. And so I thought, what better guest to have on the show than the man who posts a picture of his new golf clubs on his social media to let us all know what he's got. And that is our good friend from the Bandwagon Nerds podcast, the executive vice president of Wednesday night programming, Mr. PC Tunney. Welcome on to the show. How'd the new golf club hit? It was a new driver. How did it hit over there in the sim?
It was a new fairway wood. I was trying to find something in between my 4-iron and my 3-wood, and I think we found it. So we're looking pretty good. Now I'm down a whole nother rabbit hole with something I don't even want to bore you with, but just keep paying attention to PC Tunney.
There you go. It sounds like me when I talk about bowling gear. Like I'll be like, I got this new ball. So I'll be like, great, tell me about it. I was like, you wouldn't understand.
Yeah, you don't want to know. Yeah, I mean, I was the same way when I was bowling. When I was playing softball, you're buying 1 or 2 bats a year, so it's like, yeah, it's all equipment-based bullshit.
I got my swing back on track a little bit the other day. Tunney actually, played decent for me, so I was impressed. I was like, all right, this golf season might be okay after all.
And just for amateur golfers, what Dave kind of brought up a really good point is, keep your expectations low. That way, when you're doing well, you're going to be happy about it. The more angry you get out there, the worse it is for you.
I just want to know who the favorite is to win the Waterbury Open this year.
The what?
Shooter McGavin. Every time he comes here, it just gets harder and harder to leave.
It does. And I'll tell you, David Ungar, this guy spends more time in the sand than David Hasselhoff. Yeah, there you go. Anyway, let's start with the headline, which is an unfortunate headline in the world of golf, and that is, of course, Tiger Woods getting hit with a DUI after he rolls his car, and not alcohol related. Sounds like it's prescription drug related. What is this? Oh man, you even found the mugshot. Oh, Dave.
I am here for you guys, man.
Well, and so this isn't his first issue with the car, and this isn't his first incident or accident. And I know, correct me if I'm wrong, is Tiger supposed to be at the Masters?
So he had said he wanted to play, right, Tunney? He had declared he wanted to play.
What's going on here?
Because I know he played in the TGL, right? And
so Tunney was going to answer your question.
Oh, sorry, Tunney, go ahead.
So he did come back to play in the last match at TGL. He looked decent. I don't know that he was going to be at Augusta to open up the patch, which is like a new par 3 course there, but he was not going to play. He was trying to get ready for the U.S. Senior Open. I don't know necessarily that he'll ever play on the PGA Tour again. I don't know that he can walk 4 rounds and be competitive, right? But on the Senior Tour, it's 3 rounds. You can take a cart. They're going to make a ton of money when he gets there. So that's kind of where they're at right now.
Has the Senior Tour or the PGA, has there been any comment at all about this?
There's been no comment from Tiger Woods, from his management, from the PGA, or anything. There's been no comments whatsoever. And probably the smartest business strategy would be to just be quiet and let it pass and let Tiger go to rehab or whatever the fuck else he needs to do again. I'm just going to come out and give you my thought right now. I texted my buddies. After I saw the sheriff's press conference the day of. And so growing up in Wisconsin, the Green Bay Packers, like I root so hard for Green Bay Packers. I love them. Not that I don't love the Bucks and the Brewers, etc., but I die hard love Packer games. I've watched every single one since Brett Favre has been a starter. I've rooted harder for Tiger Woods than I have the Green Bay Packers over the course of my fanship. I am no longer a Tiger Woods fan, and I really don't even this is probably the last conversation I will ever have about Tiger Woods. I'm just disgusted, fed up, and people enabling billionaires makes me want to fucking puke.
So with that, let's go talk about the KSA tournament. Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you guys feel about it? I mean, you're not like Patrick. You're more very casual golf fan. Dave probably is in between me and you. So what do you guys think?
I was in college when he won his first Masters.
97.
I remember watching that in my dorm room, and I remember falling in love with just that imagery. Like he was the type of personality and player that made casuals want to watch golf. Like he was that type of athlete, and I agree with you. Like the enabling of people who continue to kind of get off or get away or forgiven with this sort of stuff. It's clear to me, and honestly, where I sort of land on this is like the human being needs help, and he needs to get that help. And so, like, I think you're right. Like it is like go away from golf and do what you need to do to fix your shit, and get yourself together because you're too important to the Senior Open. Think about what he is. You said it yourself. His a healthy and sober Tiger Woods playing golf on the Senior Tour is money.
They'll have higher ratings than most PGA Tour events when that happens.
Right.
The sad part is, like, okay, it's a drug addiction. Okay, I understand that's really difficult. But here's the thing, guys. He's an asshole.
Oh, yeah.
He drives like that all the time. That's an asshole, right? Tiger, if you knew that your kids were in a car close to you where you were driving, would you drive like that? No. Well, other people's kids are where your kids could be. So what the fuck, right? Like, that's why I'm wholly done with it. If this was a prescription thing, whatever, blah, blah, blah. He had the sex addiction problem, all that shit. But he's just a jerk.
Yeah, I got to agree with Tony on this one. I mean, this is the greatest. Let's all the other issues notwithstanding, he's the greatest of all time. I mean, I don't think you can dispute that at this point, that he's the greatest of all time on the golf course. But he's another one of these guys that you see who self-destructs. We see this in all industries, whether it's the Ultimate Warrior, whether it's Jim Morrison, whether it's whoever you want to, insert somebody here, O.J. Simpson. And it's just you cut your legacy short by doing this. You raise a really good point, Tony, about the the Champions Tour. That's what they call the Senior Tour now, right? I know, like a year ago, you and I had the conversation where we were both thinking he'll never play on the Champions Tour, and now you're looking at a year later thinking that's probably the only avenue that he has left. And if he goes that way, it's a massive boon to the Champions Tour because, like you're saying, they're going to draw the biggest ratings that they've ever had before. Because I mean, they've got great players on the Champions Tour, but you don't have a name like Tiger Woods. Once that happens, the dynamics shift entirely. So, I'm with you. I get why you're saying I don't give a shit. I'm done with him. I kind of am too. But from the standpoint of golfers in my age bracket, I'm like, yes, I'd like to see Tiger jump on the Champions Tour and make a difference there.
Now, I just want to clarify. I'm not coming out saying I don't want him to turn his shit around. I do.
Right.
I wish him the best. But I'm done advocating. I'm done fanning out. I'm done with all of it.
I think you can appreciate that. I think that there's many instances of either athletes or celebrities where you just kind of are like, look, I'm tired. I do want to shift in 2 weeks. We're 2 weeks away from the Masters, or a couple weeks away from the Masters. Next week, we will obviously be talking about the NCAA Tournament Championship Final Four weekend. That'll be a big part of it. Dave's going to make me talk about hockey, I'm sure. He tried to bait me into thinking the Blues are going to make a playoff run before we hit record today, and I was like, stop it.
my Wisconsin Badgers men are trying to follow in the women's footsteps, and they've made it to the Frozen Four. So congratulations to them.
Your Lightning are a real threat this year, Tony. I know.
So could be a fun hockey day after Wisconsin's performance in the NCAA tournament, getting high pointed.
Okay, thanks, Patrick. Okay,
had to bring it back down.
Congratulations to your Illini.
Had to bring it back down a notch, buddy. Hey, it's been 21 years since Illinois has been to the promised land in basketball.
You know, I was texting.
Yeah, I know you did. Thank you for the text. But I did want to talk again, as one who doesn't really follow the season, and I know we're still relatively early in it. Who are the ones to watch right now? Who are off to the starts that are ideal as we head towards the Masters in a couple of weeks? Just in your opinion, who have you seen perform?
I mean, I think the biggest surprise this year is Jacob Bridgman, someone people probably haven't heard of, is leading the FedEx Cup for points right now, and that's pretty a good barometer of how well people are doing early in the year. Cameron Young is a rising superstar. The story behind him wearing the MLB on his sleeve is that his dad is longtime friends of Rob Manfred. So before anybody knew who Cameron Young was, when Rob Manfred heard that one of his friend's kids was going to be on tour events, he offered him that sponsorship before he knew how good. That's kind of cool. Matt Fitzpatrick won last week. Akshay Bhatia has been playing great. Chris Goddard, Colin Morikawa, Scotty Shep. I think Morikawa's hurt, but like the usual suspects as well. Rory, Scotty, Justin Rose has been playing well. You got these new young guys, Nikolai Holgaard and Michael Thorbjornsen. They're second and third right now if you're watching the Texas Children's Houston Open as we go. Minwoo Lee's another really talented guy. Tom Kim. I could name names forever. They might not mean a lot to people, but like Scotty Scheffler will be the favorite, regardless of him not having a very Scotty Scheffler start to his year, I would imagine.
Yeah, I also look forward to seeing John Daly. Oh, I mean, sorry, that's too late.
Yeah, I like the Scotty pick is obviously safe. Rory's a safe pick. Justin Rose is somebody I would keep an eye on at the Masters because he's been playing well, and that's a course that kind of suits his play style pretty well. He could be a dark horse in there, but yeah, Badia is another guy who's really been playing a lot better this year, a lot more consistently. He's getting awfully close to that breakthrough. I'm thinking, Tony. You know, he's right there on some of these. But like you're saying, Cameron Young has been excellent as well. So. The Masters is just it's a different breed, a different animal entirely than the other majors. So,
and I will tell you that Fred Couples will be right there competing to make the cut as he always does because he's an ageless wonder. And there's some people that just play really well there, like Jose Maria Olazabal always played well throughout his career there. Arnie and Jack played well there, even later in their years. Not Tom Kite. Tom Watson as well. So just a lot of history there. Just one of the great people, the players and the biggest analysts say the reason it's the best major is because everyone knows the course. The other ones are at a different course all the time. And when those are really hyped up, it's at a course you know as opposed to something new. So just the tradition of the Masters and that throwback to being able to afford food and drink when you go there.
I was going to say
ridiculously awesome.
The cheap sandwiches, right?
Yes. Like the Greater Milwaukee Open used to be here at Brown Deer. We no longer have a PGA Tour event here, but we have a lot of courses that have been lucky, to host big things throughout the state. But luckily for me, Robert W. Baird, I have a relative who works there, and they sponsored it. So I would always get to go into the complimentary tent. And along the way, think about how much money I would have spent if I didn't get it free, and it was a lot.
Yeah, I bet. So again, casual golf fans, the majors are the ones that we're going to tune in and check out. Got to hear Jim Nantz. Got to catch all that stuff. So we'll be there. Who the hell is Happy Gilmore? I don't know.
That's Vern Lundquist who said.
Oh, that's Vern Lundquist. Sorry. Vern Lundquist was the play-by-play guy on that one. I do have one other little sporting note that I want to talk about very, very briefly. In a couple of hours, the USBC Masters bowling tournament comes to its conclusion today. EJ Tackett is the number one seed in the stepladder. If he wins today, it will be his fourth major championship. He will join Jason Belmonte, and I'm trying to remember someone else. There's only like a couple people who have done the Grand Slam of PBA major tournaments. There are 5 PBA majors. I don't know if anybody has won all 5, but this is one that Tackett has not won. He had a chance at a U.S. Open earlier this season, and he lost it to a kid who shot a 300 game on his first ever televised championship match, which is just
kind of hard to win when that happens. Yeah,
it's just stunning to see a kid shoot a 300 as a rookie. That was his first major. So I'm pulling for EJ. He's my favorite bowler to watch. The guy set a qualifying brackets record, averaging a 258 through the elimination round of the USBC Masters to put himself in the number one spot on the stepladder. So very good tournament, and he's leading in points. What's up?
Mike Albee.
Yep,
completed in 95. Norm Duke in 08, and Belmonte in 2020.
Yeah, I knew that. Yeah, there's a few more who have done the Triple Crown, but
Albee and Belmonte are the only with the 5.
Right. So EJ still got 2 to go. I think he'll eventually get a Players Championship too, and finish that, because the guy is so automatic. And I say this over and over and over again. The reason I appreciate him so much and how good he is it is so difficult to make cuts and get to television every week in the PBA, and he does it. Just every week he is in those final 5, and that's just amazing for bowling. So anyway, that's going to do it for this week's edition of the Four Corners Podcast. Thank you everyone for your patience in welcoming us back. I know we've filled the gaps with some unidentified history and some other episodes. Thank you, Dave and Tunney, for filling in those, getting those covered. We will be back next week to absolutely overreact to the first week of the baseball season, because it's always my favorite. I was talking about this, Tunney. It'll be overreaction Monday. If the Cardinals somehow sweep the Rays today, suddenly like St. Louis people will be freaking out. It'll be hilarious. Those early reviews are the best.
I just want to remind baseball fans that the best regular season team last year started off 0-4 and had a run differential of about -30 after those 4 games. So
right, baseball. There's a reason it's 162 games in a season. So be a lot of fun. We'll definitely be talking more baseball. We'll get geared up for the Stanley Cup playoffs. Lots of time. Spring is the best when it comes to sports, with these tournaments and stuff wrapping up in opening day. I love it. So right up there with the beginning of the fall sports season as well. So stick around. Dave and I.
The draft is coming soon.
Lord Football's always lurking, regardless of that time of year.
Our overlord
is lurking. Big thanks to PC Tunney for joining us on the show. Tell folks where they could follow you, listen to you, all that fun stuff.
No, thank you guys for having me on. I always love talking some sports with you guys. Follow me at PC Tunney, and like Patrick said, April 13th would be a great day to visit thechairshot.com.
Dave, tell everybody where they can find you out there in the interwebs.
Well, the only place you can really find me now is attitudeofaggression.com or the YouTube channel, Attitude of Aggression's YouTube channel. So that's pretty much it.
Well, I currently have not been hacked and still have all my socials up and running. You can follow me on most social media networks at Wrestling Realist. That is at WRESTLNGREALIST. Yes, we every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday on the Chairshot Radio Network. Monday, talking nerdy stuff with Dave and Tunney and Ray Cash when he's not on vacation. Tuesdays, talking sports with my buddy David Ungar. And Wednesdays, talking wrestling with Greg DeMarco on the Greg DeMarco Show when we feel like it. Thank you, everyone who listened live. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow thechairshot.com. Big things on the horizon. You've already heard it a couple times. April 13th. Make sure you're staying with us and share this with your friends, your neighbors, your loved ones, everybody you know, because we got big things on the horizon. That'll do it for this week. Thank you, everyone, for listening. This has been the Four Corners Podcast here on the Chairshot Radio Network, part of thechairshot.com.